Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom with the CBC Evening News. Now, faced with the uphill task of generating more income, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital may be reviewing some of its payment policies to weed out delinquency. Health Minister John Boyce revealed this as one of the new methods to help the public hospital to operate more efficiently.
This includes, of course, the revision of the hospital's deposit policy in order to ensure that delinquency and defaults on accounts are minimized and to better reflect the cost incurred by customers for service delivery. The potential expansion of the supply chain for medical supplies, specialist medical equipment, and consumables would greatly assist in negotiating a more competitive rate for goods and services while affording us some bargaining power as it relates to the contractual terms and conditions with service providers.
Minister Boyce also commended the hospital for the progress it has been making in seeking accreditation.
I'm pleased to note that of the 5 key elements identified 1.5 years ago, 3 have been realized to date, and the additional 2 are at significant stages in their development. One of such achievements is the baby-friendly initiative, conceptualized within a national framework under the UNICEF WHO breastfeeding initiative in order to ensure that babies are well fed and to promote bonding between mother and child.
A $5 million donation from the U.S. government has placed the region's meteorologists in a better position to predict and advise governments on pending climate events. Recently, the Caribbean has experienced a number of extreme weather conditions, which experts have attributed to climate change. From the more than 1,000 dead in Haiti as a result of Hurricane Matthew last year, to the millions of dollars in damage in Dominica from Tropical Storm Erica. Then, at the other end of the spectrum, devastating drought has crippled water supplies and threatened food security. But now, principal of the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, Dr. David Farrell, says they're better equipped to advise on these types of events. He says a significant portion of the $5 million went to improving the infrastructure at what has become the Regional Climate Center for the Caribbean. Dr. Farrell told the launch of the center the project started 3 years ago and now puts the region's capabilities ahead of some developed nations.
With all of this, we are now in a much better position to advise governments in the region with regards to climate. And not just talking about these seminal discussions on climate change, which are important and key to building regional resilience, but what happens every season. How does industry, how do sectors adjust every season to changing behaviors in seasons? And this is extremely important.
U.S. Ambassador to the Eastern Caribbean, Linda Tagliatella, says the importance of accurate climate information cannot be underestimated.
As a result of the CIMH's 2015 forecast, water resource managers in drought-stricken countries such as Antigua and Barbados had the advanced warning necessary to address the drought. They were able to identify the regions that would be worst hit and provide guidance to users in those areas to store and conserve fresh water supplies in advance.
And the FAO's sub-regional coordinator, Dr. Lystra Fletcher-Paul, notes that agriculture remains highly susceptible to climate change.
And this regional climate center is therefore an invaluable partner in our quest to assist farmers, fisherfolk, livestock farmers, foresters to build resilience, to better plan and reduce the damage and loss caused by climate events.
Mrs. Fletcher-Paul adds that the FAO is in the process of working with the Italian government and others on a €700,000 project, Resilient Environment Agricultural Caribbean Habitats, to discuss and share best practices on agriculture disaster risk management plans. 5 females, 3 former kings, veterans, and young Calypsonians are among the slate of semi-finalists announced for the Pickety Crop competition. The Big Show and the House of Soca tents have 7 semi-finalists each. They are the Big Show's AC, Crystal, Classic, Edwin, iWeb, J Slow, and Mr. Blood. And the House of Soca's Miss AC, Amazing Dre, Billboard, Francois, Sammy G, Observer, and Sir Rule. First-timer Anita A.C. Charles says she cried after hearing she made it into the semis. The former junior monarch admitted to being nervous while performing, but she's promising to give her best in the upcoming semi-finals. Now, with the name AC being announced twice, it left some people confused, as Adrienne Clark also goes by that stage name. Ms. Charles says she is considering a name change. Well, 3 semi-finalists are coming from the home tent of last year's winner Aziza, that is the Cave Shepherd All-Stars. They are Charisma, Colin Spencer, and Donella. Smokey Burke will represent Super Gladiators, and the Big Show's TC is the reserve. Well, another effort is to be made to incorporate more young musicians into the band that backs the Junior Calypso Monarch contestants. This from external coordinator of the event, Anthony Sargent. He says there was an attempt many years ago to have a junior band backing the young Calypsonians, but it didn't work out. Mr. Sargent says last year the response was more positive, and from this year a bigger effort was made to get more school children involved.
For some reason, there has been a minimum response. There were only about 2 or 3 youngsters came around rehearsals, but eventually that will happen because the response last year was great. I don't know if you were aware of it, that a junior band backed the past performance, the past monarchs. It happened last year, right after the finals. And Harrison College, Parkinson, Galley School were represented. There were only 2 veterans, the best guitarist and myself, and that was for prosperity. But yes, eventually that will happen.
Mr. Sargent was speaking at an open-air concert for contestants who did not make the finals of either age group of the competition. It also allowed the finalists to poll for positions in the competition scheduled for July 22nd at Kensington Oval. And for title sponsors, Scotiabank to present a $78,500 check to the NCF for the event. Corporate communications specialist Simone Codrington says this year they've changed the format for promoting the competition.
This year we decided to take it away from a road show and the usual draw in Scotiabank and bring it out into the public in Jubilee to actually give some of those performers who didn't make it in the competition, either from the preliminary stage or and then they make it to the semi-finals, or from the semi-final stage to the final, to give them additional exposure, and in that way also build awareness for the Junior Calypso Monarch final.
Well, the police are concerned that Barbadians could be hampering their efforts at solving crimes when they trample on crime and accident scenes to take pictures and video. Public Relations Officer Acting Inspector Roland Cobbler wants the practice to stop. He was speaking at the scene of the island's latest murder yesterday, where a number of people did just that. They entered the area and took video of the body of 48-year-old Kenrick Adolphus Spooner of number 1 Pool Land, St. John. The body was discovered face down in a bushy area at Todd's Land in St. George. Police are asking anyone who can provide information to contact the nearest police station. We'll take a break here, but when we come back, more news.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153# to sign up to Digicel today.
We start with a yes. But when life takes unexpected turns, you can still say yes to more. The Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard credit card gives you points with every purchase that you can use to travel to anywhere. Plus, with just 20,000 Scotia points, you can say yes to destinations. With Scotiabank Aero Platinum MasterCard credit card, it's easier to say yes to everything. Apply today.
I have diabetes and every decision I make is important. I choose Glucerna to maintain a healthy nutrition. I drink it and recommend it to my patients.
Glucerna with Carb Steady is designed for people with diabetes, helps minimize blood sugar spikes, and it's delicious. Glucerna, your good decision of the day.
Looking for the best stage of the festival? It's the CBC Festival Stage, where the stars are sure to appear.
Yes, I get a lot of crap. Listen, there are a lot of people that are recording that shouldn't be doing it. They should be sweeping the road, as far as I'm concerned.
So we'll get on that because the whole of Barbados set go down, then all of a sudden that go down, it cannot be bashment soca, it got to cross over into the main soca drum. But that sample condemn rhythm from Jamaica, no, but your criteria, that make it bashment soca.
I am saying that when you look at the music over the years, it was never given an identity.
Watch Festival Stage Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays live on CBC TV 8 from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Festival Stage is repeated on Mondays and Wednesdays at 9:03 p.m. and Fridays at 10:03 p.m. When the crowds descend on Bushy Park for the big Soca Royale competitions, we will be there. When the social commentators in Kaiso face off for the Pickety Crop Finals, we will be there. CBC, capturing it and sharing it all with you on pay-per-view via MCTV or web stream on www.cropover.cbc.bb. CBC, your link to the festival.
A senior official of the Pan American Health Organization and World Health Organization is telling Barbados the increase in obesity is not only impacting females, but it's having an effect on their reproductive health. Dr. Godfrey Shreb made the revelation at a media briefing for World Population Day at United Nations House yesterday.
There is strong evidence that indicates that obesity impairs the effectiveness of some hormonal contraception and therefore limits women's options to modern contraception. The effects of non-communicable disease such as diabetes and hypertension can also affect the ability to conceive, and this both for females and males.
Dr. Shreb insists that promoting healthy lifestyles is essential.
In this regard, PAHO WHO is supporting Barbados in strengthening their national health systems, advocating and providing technical cooperation for supportive policies, plans and programs, ensuring quality, monitoring and evaluating strategic interventions, and gathering data and evidence to support this work in the framework of universal health access and universal health coverage for Health for All.
Well, when most people think of robots, they may think of something fictional from the movie Transformers. But this summer, right here in Barbados, there is a group of people building robots that could one day help us with daily tasks and bring revenue into the country. Interestingly enough, they're all children. Denise Blackman spoke to some of them at this year's Junior Robotics Camp.
When these children go back to school in September, they'll be able to tell their friends they spent the summer building robots.
Right now, we're working on the robot. Its main purpose, its objective is to go in a 3-foot square, clockwise and anti-clockwise, and then in a normal square, clockwise and anti-clockwise.
So for building a robot, we've also been using a program called Scratch made by MIT, so those are the two main things that we've been doing.
According to Assistant Director of the Caribbean Science Foundation, Louis Oliver, in the 3 years since the foundation has been running the Junior Robotics Camp, it's been training Barbadian students between 9 and 13.
The children get tuition in engineering, forces, how things work, so they have a basic understanding of the principles of engineering behind the robots before they actually get their hands on the robots. So what we do is we give them a kit, and from that kit, they build their own robots. And at the end of the 4 weeks, we expect the robots are able to perform specific tasks.
Facilitator Trudy Carter says her Level 1 students are having a blast.
The general outlook is that a lot of them are interested in actually assembling the robot and getting the robot to actually do you know, like all kids, all the interesting stuff they wanted to do, you know, like turnover, flip, those type of things.
What is the name of your team?
Robosses 2.0.
Okay, and why are you called Robosses 2.0?
Because last year we were Robosses, and now this year we're Robosses 2.0.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
We want to be a footballer, but if that doesn't work out, we might do something in robotics or something like that.
The entire group of 48 campers is made up of first years, second years, and those who've attended for the 3 years. And they're all interested in pursuing a career in STEM. That is science, technology, engineering, and math.
The first time they came to this camp and I realized what programming was about, I would say, yes, this is my job, because I like thinking about stuff and working them out and getting stuff to work, even though sometimes it seems that it would not work at all.
Why do you want to be a scientist?
A scientist because all the great people seem to have something to do with chemistry, and I also love mathematics and science.
Do you think you'll be coming back next year?
Yes, I think I'll be coming back for sure. Probably next year we'll probably be using Raspberry Pi Zero. So I'll be excited for that.
I wanted to go to camp here because I like robotics. I like building stuff and finding out how they work. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to learn more about it.
I heard that we're making BattleBots in the second year, so I'm looking forward to that.
With the children's new expertise in robotics, Ms. Oliver hopes they will be the next generation of problem solvers and technology entrepreneurs, finding solutions to problems both big and small.
Taking bottles out of crates, for example, is a very repetitive job. Robots do that, and they do it faster and more efficiently than humans can do. So in instances where you have repetition or dangerous circumstances, that's where robots can be used.
As can be expected, interest in the camp has ballooned since 2015 and acceptance has been tightened. This is largely due to space and finances.
We have to buy all our parts, we have to pay our facilitators. That's quite consuming financially. So unfortunately, we have had to whittle our list down. We've had to disappoint some parents, but I urge anybody who is interested in taking part in the camp, visit our website, caribbeanscience.org. Our application process usually opens end of March, early April.
The young students will showcase their robots to the public on Thursday, August 3rd at the University of the West Indies. Denise Blackman, CBC News.
Thanks, Denise. Well, would you like to contribute to a good cause and have fun while doing it? Well, a new outdoor attraction will offer both locals and tourists the chance to do just that. Sharika Griffith tells us more.
Imagine taking a horseback ride through little seen parts of St. Andrew, then having the proceeds of that tour go to improving the lighting and landscape around the island. That's exactly what the Barbados Association of Tourism Employees, the BATE, has set out to do.
Our major goal is to actually illuminate certain areas in Spicetown, Oystains, Maxwell Coast Road, and especially St. Lawrence Gap. We are also looking to debush the highways as well as to donate to the community, those who are involved, to give back.
The group is made up of not only people from the tourism sector, but also students of secondary and tertiary institutions and members of the community. Project manager intern Janae Francis says the plan to install lights is a response to people expressing concern for their safety.
In areas such as St. Lawrence Gap, there are many concerns from the individuals stating that walking through the area at night, they tend to be afraid because you don't know who's lurking in the bushes or whatever. So in terms of safety issues, we decided to why not just place lights to help illuminate the area so that persons walking along that area will be able to see who's behind, in front, or next to them.
The horseback tours will leave the Nature Fun Ranch in Bruceville, St. Andrew every day, including weekends.
The locals package consists of a ride and transfer as well as the tour, which will be on the horse on the East Coast. And the tourist package consists of the ride, tour, lunch, transfers, all inclusive package. in which lunch will be provided on the East Coast.
The horseback tours get started this week, and the BATE hopes to begin the lighting and other projects early next year. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Despite careful family planning, a challenging delivery can change everything. Tonight we hear the story of a young couple who had to adapt to taking care of their special needs child. Kimita Jones reports.
In the Mohan home, you will see the words hope, love, believe, faith, and trust. This inspirational wall above the space where their first child, Lucas, spends most of his time is not by chance. It's these uplifting thoughts that help them to cope with the challenges in their family. The year 2013 seemed to be full of purpose and positive changes. Sandia was pregnant, and about 9 months later, after having a smooth pregnancy with only positive doctor's reports, on September 27th, Sandia's contractions started. She was in labor for 1 hour, but the baby's head was crowning for 45 minutes. Lucas was born with severe head injury. He was later diagnosed with cerebral palsy. He had been deprived of oxygen for too long. Cerebral palsy is a permanent disorder which affects body movement and muscle coordination. Anthony and Sandia had no idea what that diagnosis would have meant for Lucas.
It's almost something from a horror story. Really, when you have to watch your child doing all these things, making all these strange movements. He would sometimes arch his back and put his head backwards, like this is almost like he wants to go over. Sometimes if he's lying on his back, he will do it so much till he turns over like that. Imagine if you're not there to look at him, that he can suffocate.
The day Lucas was born, he started seizing, so much so that he went home under seizure medication. But the frequency and the severity of the seizures damaged Lucas's teeth, and he started to regress. He soon lost the ability to make eye contact.
I remember the first time when I saw just blankness in those eyes. I just cried and I cried and I cried, and I remember just holding my mouth.
Because of the infantile spasms, Lucas lost the muscle coordination needed to suck his bottle, so he now has to be fed using a free-flow bottle. Anthony says seeing his little son in pain has been unbearable.
You want to go crazy. Sometimes you think you're going to lose your mind. For me, I think I slip in and out of depression sometimes.
Yes.
It's a shock in life, you know.
He was in depression for a while.
It's not a walk in the park, we'll be putting it lightly. I get to leave and go to work. It's not easy to leave and go to work like that, because it's always at the back of your mind. Sometimes there's this depressing feeling when you're there sitting doing your work that causes you to pause for a long period and realize where is life going now in all of this.
Anthony and Sandia have been married for 11 years, but as life changed with Lucas's birth, they quickly realized that their emotional health as individuals and as a couple has a direct impact on Lucas's growth and development.
Dealing with it all the time has to be so difficult. I cannot even imagine it. I can't do that. You know, if I had to deal with the situation, not with you, Lovey, not with you at all. It's just what you go through, just to see you like that. That's the difficult part. It's not you, okay? Yes, it's very sensitive too.
Anthony admits that dealing with a special needs child is particularly stressful.
Especially when Lucas was younger, a lot of times you come home and you want to go back out.
But he's telling fathers not to be fooled into thinking that leaving is the next best option in such situations.
I would be a hypocrite to say I don't understand it. I understand, but you just can't. You can't just leave because the situation is not going to go away. The situation is there. It's just going to make it worse if you leave. So, so this is your challenge, and it's your burden to bear. Find out as much as possible as you can. Learn about what you're dealing with, and I think that's the best way that you're going to deal with it.
Lucas has been receiving therapy using the Anat Benil method, and when he comes home, he has a little buddy who's eager to see him. It's his 1-year-old brother Thomas who brings joy and balance to this family's life. Kimita Jones, CBC News.
Thanks, Kimita. After this break, regional news.
I have diabetes and nothing stops me because I decided to maintain my blood sugar spikes and weight in control. That's why I choose Glucerna Hunger Smart. It helps me manage hunger and minimize blood sugar spikes.
Glucerna Hunger Smart has 15 grams of protein to help you manage hunger as part of your weight loss plan. Glucerna, your good decision of the day.
Coming up this week on Massey United Insurance's Line and Length, we are in Trinidad and Tobago at the beautiful Brian Lara Cricket Academy, where a former player is happy to see Darren Bravo back in the fold.
It's great that this has happened now, 2 men apologizing.
We also hear from a former fast bowler and a top journalist. And not to forget our Mass United Insurance Spin. We head to Santa Rosa Park, where 2 Trinidadian horses are coming to challenge all and sundry at the Mass United Insurance Barbados Derby. Line and Length this Sunday on CBC TV 8 at 7:30 p.m.
I can always try to positively influence everything or everyone around me. I say this because I don't want to be respected by the younger ones by telling them what to do. I want to be respected by them by showing the right example and leading them the way they should go. I have the power of choice.
Jamaica's government intends to keep its promise of restitution to residents of Tivoli Gardens following the deadly security forces operation in 2010. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says his administration will not repeat errors of the past. He says efforts to compensate people affected during that operation to arrest strongman Christopher Dudas Coke, the efforts are progressing.
We have learned our lessons well as a government. And if we are going to engage in this new era of securing our citizens, our people, our community, then the errors of the past must be addressed, redressed. And where there is loss, there must be restoration. I am pleased to say that in discussions with the Minister of Justice, I have been advised that the compensation committee that was formed coming out of the West Kingston Commission of Inquiry, that committee is close to completing its job of recommending compensation for those who were hurt and harmed and suffered loss in the incursion.
In Trinidad and Tobago government says CLICO will be dissolved. This was made clear by Minister of Finance Colm Imbert, who says a liquidator has already been appointed. He notes that contrary to newspaper reports, it planned to wind up operations at the company. The government went to the courts to seek administrative liquidators for CL Financial.
You will have seen in the newspapers that action has been taken with respect to CL Financial. I want to correct a misleading headline in the Express, which says that the government sought or is seeking to wind up CLICO. That is inaccurate. CLICO is under the control and management of the central bank and has been, so that there's no action on the part, was no action on the part of the government to wind up CLICO. What the government has sought to do is to approach the court to appoint provisional liquidators with respect to CL Financial.
Well, after the break, we'll give you a peek into the world of sports. But before that, here is a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.